I remember when I had my NDE, I was alone, my kids were asleep, I was having a heart attack, so I was ODing. And I remember getting to that last moment. You know, they say you have those moments where your life flashes before your eyes. And I remember getting, after all of that time, all of that looking and seeing everything that I had did in life, and I get into that moment where it's like, you can sit and rest here in the dark, or you can go into this tunnel, into this light. And I was like, the dark, it was so cold and chaotic. Nothing but voices and sounds, chaos, hypnosis, whispers, everything except my own voice. I couldn't find my voice in the sound, but I kept hearing coming to the light. But I didn't know who was telling me to do it. So as I thought in those last moments, I'm like, if I can see my life flash before my eyes, I definitely can find my voice. So I can ask myself if I need to go into this light, as this other voice is telling me. And as I begin to find my voice and get to walking through my life over and over again, I noticed some things, some changes. I noticed some inconsistencies with reality. I didn't know if I was still in that moment dreaming as I'm speaking this message today, or if I was still in that fatal moment right before I died. So here I am 4 years later after that near-death experience, and I still don't know if I'm dreaming or if I'm walking in reality. I've spent 4 years attempting to explain this to psychiatrists and judges and family and preachers and doctors and Satanists and atheists and freaking narcissists and scientists. I've spent so much time attempting to prove what I experienced was real, or if I was still in that experience instead of just living it. And I go, in all honesty, the best way to live it is to live it anonymously. And I let so many people in between then keep me from doing that, that I have failed to recall the main reason I set out on the journey is because I needed to know if I was living in that dream, that near-death experience, that moment right before I died, or if I made it out. But I go, every waking moment in this reality, it's like, I don't know. And then I looked into computer coding and quantum computing, and things just got even stranger. As I rerun the experience with what I was learning in coding and what I was learning in physics, I noticed that there were still inconsistencies. I didn't know if I was living in that dream or if I was walking in reality. But as I began to question the truths of reality, the laws of realities, they didn't add up with what I was experiencing in this said reality. The logic didn't add up, the physics didn't add up, the math didn't add up. Why? Because I could still experience that experience and have to question my day-to-day walkings. And I asked myself, if I had to question my everyday moments, my walkings, am I schizophrenic or am I a genius? Can these people hear me in this silence they call telepathy, or am I making this all up in my head? It's rather frustrating. And then you have only black and white. You got those two answers, those two choices, Travis. And I go, well, let me just walk this thin line in the middle, in the balance in between that, and see what happens. And the more I walk that line, the more I just see people as spirits in general. Now, my definition of spirits may be different than your definition of spirits. For if we're all dead in truth, are we not all walking zombies? Even in physics and mathematics, that same question can be posed to the mathematicians, as well as the theologians from the other side of the spectrum. Because in reality, the question itself needs to be answered across all denominations, all segments, and all sectors of reality. From witches to scientists to the religious to theologians. Because if we're all spirits, what are these waking moments to be called? Are we walking in life in a reality where you die? Or are we walking in a dream where in reality, if you die here, you die totally? They're both the same instance. And I go, I don't like to delve into the moments of my mind where I've attempted to answer that question myself through my own self-experimentation. But you can imagine the experiments that need to be performed to see if you're walking dead or if you're alive in a dream. And trust me, it ain't no spinning the dial inception type of thought that's gonna allow you to see beyond that veil. And in those near-death experiences, my definition of heaven and hell became completely different than the conditioned definitions that are present here in our reality. Far beyond that of what they would call if this was a purgatory state. Far beyond the likes of what any religion has taught me up until this moment. Because when you're looking at the entirety of creation as God's or some being's masterpiece, or even the universe's masterpiece as itself, one tends to ask if this walking hellhole where we smile, fake, and pretend is our reality, what is worse than this place? Because still, as I look out and I listen and I see and I watch and I observe, I go, man, if heaven is just glitter and gold and shiny things, fuck, we got that here on Earth. Show me something better, because this shithole on some spectrums of Earth. And I go, if hell is fire and brimstone, bring that shit to Earth. Cleanse this shit. And then as I come out of that true state of myself to where I can relay a message that people can understand and receive, the greatest I can describe it is there's darkness and then there's light. That is all. You die here, it's just like Rick said, it's darkness. No more resets, no reincarnations taking place. We're far beyond that in the likes of what we perceive as our technologies, as our conscious minds are changing. And I go, but then there's that light. And as I went through that wormhole, it's the best way I can describe it. One begins to come up with answers for questions to the big